China is reopening again after years of COVID-19 restrictions. The country also announced it will drop quarantine requirements for international travelers.
This reopening for China has been the biggest step they've taken after almost 3 years of isolation.
In response, the US and several other countries want travelers from China to show a negative COVID-19 test before entering. That's because China is facing a huge wave of infections, hospitals are overcrowded, and major outbreaks are spreading across the country. So 3 years into the pandemic, we'll see a return of travel restrictions. Here's what that means. China has largely been isolated from the rest of the world since 2020. But following nationwide protests and a steep economic slide, Beijing removed almost all of its testing, lockdown, and quarantine measures, including on international travel. Starting January 8th, people traveling to China will only need to provide a negative COVID-19 test within 48 hours of arrival.
This is a big change from the last couple of years when it's been 14 or 21 days even of mandatory centralized quarantine.
But COVID-19 cases began to surge soon after restrictions were lifted, and many pharmacies in major cities ran low on medication. Scientists say it's easy for existing variants of the virus, like Omicron, to spread quickly in a place where few people had been previously infected.
We've seen the virus spread like wildfire across the country. You're seeing hospitals often get inundated with COVID patients, particularly the elderly. And then you're also seeing like factory owners complaining because many of their workers have been sick with COVID, and it spread so quickly that very often it's like 30 or 40% of their workforce out at one time.
For travelers from China, that means new challenges when flying to other countries. The US, India, Italy, and Japan were some of the countries that immediately imposed new restrictions for incoming travelers from China. US health officials said China was providing limited data on the surge.
I think what governments and also other health officials are concerned about is that China might not be able to control the spread of COVID, and from there might be new variants.
After reintroducing COVID testing on arrival, Italian officials said more than half of the passengers on one of the first flights from China tested positive. The Prime Minister wants mandatory tests across the European Union.
Perché noi sappiamo che possiamo farlo per i voli che arrivano direttamente dalla Cina, ma non per esempio con quelli che arrivano via scalo.
China has responded by calling for other countries to prioritize the economic benefits of travel.
我们希望各方秉持科学的原则，携手保障各国的人员安全往来，维护全球产业链供应链稳定。
While countries continue to monitor for developments, more restrictions may be in store for travelers coming from China.
I think these travel restrictions are a road bump, but not a wall, because people have been locked down in China for almost 3 years. There's a huge pent-up demand for travel globally. A day after China said that they would lift the border restrictions, we saw Trip.com, which is a huge travel provider in China. They were saying outbound travel bookings were up almost 300%. Because there's so much pent-up demand, I just don't see it as a very big restriction at all.